Good morning, and welcome to Morning Devos. Hi. Is it too early? Some days you just gotta wear glasses. That's today. You know what's special about today? Garbage day. Yesterday was supposed to be garbage day, but today is garbage day because of Easter Monday. That's what's special today. Yeah. It's a little bit different. It's out of the norm. It's changing up a schedule. It's super exciting. What else is going to happen today? Woo! Can't wait. What else? Oh yeah, Scrabble. There's been a lot of Scrabbling going on. My word for you this morning is Vicky doesn't lose in Scrabble. She's one of the smart people.
I also don't cheat.
What do you mean?
I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying.
Define cheat.
Continue.
No, just define cheat for people.
Inserting all your letters into a program that creates a word for you.
That sounds like cheating. And it's actually called the Scrabble Cheat app. Yes, and I still lose.
That's
I
what
just
it's
need
called?
help. I have. It's actually called the Scrabble Cheat app. And when I put it on my
app?
Yeah, I put it on my phone right next to the Scrabble app, and I felt something that it was wrong, and I didn't want you to see my phone because I had the Scrabble Cheat app
Right
on my
beside
phone.
Scrabble.
Yeah,
Thank you for
I
thank you.
think it's helpful. And I still lose, but it generates words for me to be able to compete at such a high level. And I still can't compete at that level.
Thank you for playing
I
Scrabble
did get a
with me.
couple bingos. I learned what bingo is a term that they use in Scrabble for using all your words.
Letters.
Bingo. Yeah, I've got 2 bingos. But that was it against you. That was against Jordan. I don't think he knows I'm cheating. But
He knows you're cheating.
does he?
No,
I
he
come
knows.
up with words that he's like, you don't know what that
And
means.
he has begun.
He attacks me.
He has begun to beat me, so I am suspicious.
Oh, he might have incorporated
I'm suspicious.
into his arsenal.
But willing to continue to play. Can I tell you something
coffee.
funny? Not funny. It's just a thing.
Okay, just on Scrabble, ecumenical. What does that mean?
Ecumenical?
Yeah. Did I say it wrong? I was trying to stumble you so bad.
Isn't ecumenical means it's like of a
Well,
specific...
spell it first. I'm winning.
It's hard. E-C-U M-E-N-I-C-A-L?
I don't know.
Maybe.
That sounds like
I'm not like a
Do you even
fabulous
do you know what that
speller,
means?
but I'm pretty good. Ecumenical, isn't that when something is of a specific denomination? Or
It's a worldwide.
specific,
Yeah, the worldwide church. I believe. I could be so wrong.
Oh, ecumenic is when it's not of a specific denomination. If you do an ecumenical service, it means it's for everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
This is what I'm up against. Dyslexia.
Dyslexia.
What did I say?
Doesn't matter.
And ADD. I'm touched. So I need like you wouldn't say it's cheating when a kid goes and takes special classes for spelling
No.
and speech therapy and they get like 80s and 90s.
When
You wouldn't be like, you're cheating.
When I was little,
You little cheater.
we had a Scrabble dictionary, and I was allowed to use the dictionary. I was allowed because my mom wanted me to learn words, so I was allowed to use the dictionary. Like I forget.
I remember
there was
when
some guidelines.
You
No,
came
we're not
into
gonna-
our
no, no, no.
relationship
No,
and
we're not.
I would try to use the dictionary because back then there was no apps and you said that was cheating.
Well,
So I
that
guess
was
I've
when I was
taken
little.
cheating one step
That
further.
was when I was little. Anyway.
What was so funny?
No,
I
it's
cut
not
you
that
off.
it's so funny. I just want to tell you a thing that happened.
It's a date. Oh, it's Saturday. What happened that I wouldn't know about? What
No,
happened?
it's a thing that happened. Well, you wouldn't know because it happened in my head.
Oh,
But I'm reading a book. Always. And so I'm reading a book last night. I think you were already sleeping. And in my book, I'm pretty into this book. I think I'm at the end. I'd like to finish it today. It's pretty good. It's a mystery. I'm deep in this book and I'm
a murder mystery?
in my head. Yes, actually. And they are taking an airplane and I become concerned for their well-being. Like, I'm worried that they might not be wearing masks. And I'm like, they are sitting they shouldn't be sitting beside each other. And there's no, like, I actually start to get worried in my head about the safety of the characters in my book.
Like, and you're reading aloud? Like, you're just reading? You weren't sleeping?
But what I'm saying is, like, COVID has now infiltrated my book.
Even your, oh my goodness.
I
Like,
can't
where
even,
will
like,
this
escape.
end? But I just want to thank you from everyone, like the 8 people. Thank you for letting us into your head. That was special. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you. No, I know. I was doing everywhere. That when I came out of the grocery store into the car. I was kind of I was avoiding people in the mall, in the parking lot.
In the car?
Yeah,
you should avoid people in the car, in the parking lot. You should always do that. Always avoid.
This is why I have to cheat. This is why I have to cheat at Scrabble.
I've read several books, though, since this started, and that's the first time, like,
COVID
has come into my book.
Wow. Mm-hmm. What's the date? 18?
I feel like...
Is there a way to check right now?
No. But this is the one we did yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's the 18th. This one.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a shorter one. Or it's a half a page. Oh, this one's called Freedom. Freedom! It's too early. Many of us... Many of us were oppressed and victimized as children. As adults, we may continue to keep ourselves oppressed. Some of us don't recognize that caretaking and not setting boundaries will leave us feeling victimized. Some of us don't understand that thinking of ourselves as victims will leave us feeling oppressed. Some of us don't know that we hold the key to our own freedom. The key is honoring ourselves and taking care of ourselves. We can say what we mean and mean what we say. We can stop waiting for others to give us what we need and take responsibility for ourselves. I highlighted that word. When we do, the gates of freedom will swing wide. Walk through. Prayer for today. Today, I will understand that I hold the key to my freedom. That's nice. I will stop participating in my oppression and victimization. I will take responsibility for myself and let others do as they may. Amen. What do you think of that one?
It's good.
That's it? I like the freedom part, where it's like, I think we can grow up, and the reason we drink or get into codependent relationships is to, as a solution. We feel trapped. We feel, whether it's the voices in our heads, the insecurities, the fear, all that stuff, when we go to another solution, then it gives us this freedom, this perception of freedom. Mm-hmm. And then it actually enslaves us and puts us in prison and takes many lives. And so getting sober, getting out of codependent relationships, I think we still bring that victim mentality in. And somebody that has actually been victimized as an adult, I think that word, again, responsibility, that word is always in here. We have to take responsibility.
And I think that can be a very controversial topic, but I think that there's actually a lot of scriptures in the Bible that back it up, to say that, you know, we don't have to be slaves of our past, and we can walk into a new freedom that we never knew before. And so even people who truly have been victims of, you know, horrific trauma, that there is freedom for them. Mm-hmm. And I think that it can be a little bit frustrating, because we can again feel blamed or at fault when we just can't figure out how to break a cycle of victimization, or the cycle of victim thinking. Mm-hmm. And it can be really frustrating trying to get to that place of owning my behaviors and the things that I'm doing, and moving into different choices. And so I think one of the key things, significant things that kind of made sense for me recently when I read this is very, very recently, this year when I started going to really, really looking into some of the behaviors that were kind of still showing up in my life, and I started going to meetings and listening to other people talk about codependency and stuff. I actually was thinking about our past and the stuff that we'd been through and how much some of that stuff had hurt me, and how like real it was, the pain and the hurt. And then I actually had this moment of having so much compassion for me and who I was back then, and the decisions that I made and the things that I did. And I actually went through a couple weeks like of just feeling intensely grateful and kind and loving and warm towards her, because she didn't know any better. And I think it was a really important step for me in changing behaviors for moving forward in the future, was just loving myself and loving who I was and having compassion and empathy for who I was, and just like really loving her, because she didn't know any different. And then really kind of looking at myself and thinking like, what are the things that I want to do differently now? How are the ways that I behave that I'm actually really not interested in?
And
behaving?
then going back to taking responsibility. And then I see the fruit of victimization is oppression. And so I'm reminded of the verse, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. And so it's like we have availability to freedom, but we of ourselves keep us unfree, in jail. I was reminded of something God said to me about my own journey. One prayer session that we had was, I will never be punished again. And that is coming from a fear that I had, and that kept me in jail. And it sounds like, oh, well, that means that punishment doesn't exist. It doesn't. And so Jesus took our punishment, consequences to my actions. I'm an adult. I don't need to come under punishment ever again. And so Jesus took our punishment, he took our slavery, and we are free to go, but we trap our own selves. So I think taking the responsibility, caretaking and setting boundaries leave us feeling victimized. Not caretaking and not setting boundaries leave us victimized. So it's walking out of that into freedom. And good word.
What was on this side? You meant that consequences to your actions are a different thing than being punished, right? Yeah. Punishment is a different thing than consequences.
Yeah. I'm the maker of all of my problems. And I think there's stuff where we have to walk through our past to get to our future. I'm not saying that there's not a process of that. I think the other extreme is like, oh, I believe in a higher power, I believe in Jesus, I'm free. And then 6 months later, you're doing all the same things. I think there's definitely a healing journey that we have to walk through our past to get to our future. And so that's the journey that we need others and community and maybe a 12-step group and a sponsor and all that stuff is to be able to walk into freedom.
Yeah. And then I like this sentence, but this is could open up a whole other big conversation of we can say what we mean and mean what we say. Oh, that's such a big step to realize.
Huge argument.
I can say what I mean and mean what I say and not be, well, why do we argue? I often don't say what I mean. I often will wind up saying what I think you want me to say, but then I'm frustrated and I'm not actually speaking truth. And I'm holding back, and you know that I'm holding back, but you're not really sure why I'm holding back, and then or I'm being...
Well, that's what a victim would not tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
If you're a victim or you're in jail, you're not going to be honest with everything because you might suffer more consequences due to...
But then I like what Brene Brown says. She says to be clear and be kind. And I think from both sides that's helpful advice because... I mean, really, what's the worst that could happen? You know, if I say what I mean and mean what I say, really, what's the worst that could happen? Like, even if I disagree with you or you disagree with me, we get into, like, an argument. Like, what do I actually think is the worst that could happen? I mean, we've come this far. We live together. If I'm in a circumstance where my safety is actually in danger, I need to get out of that circumstance, right? Like, and I need to find safe people that I can talk to help me safely get out of that circumstance. But in most situations, that's actually not the case. We're not being not truthful because we're afraid for our physical safety. We're actually.
But some people are.
Some people really are, and so I don't want to diminish that. But for me, I just wanted to please you, and so sometimes I would not say what I actually meant because I think, and it wasn't even really true. When I started being honest, I think your respect for me and your appreciation for me grew. And I remember in the early year you saying like, "Well, Vicky, I'm not as opinionated about my opinions as I seem." I was like, "What?"
There's another whole can of worms. No, and I think that we can all tell when somebody's not being honest. Like you can tell when somebody's not being forefront and upfront. Anyway, I'm out of coffee. We're taking up too much time. We'll see you tomorrow, Sunday. Do we do this every day?
No.
I don't know. I think we do.
Take a day off.
I don't think there is no days off in recovery. Thank you for joining us.